again, thanks for having me, Chris.
Sure. No
So
problem.
let's back up here a second. Let's go way back.
Okay.
You are a carpenter by trade.
Yeah.
Kind of just briefly tell us how you evolved into what you have today.
I've worked for myself pretty much my whole life. My first taste of carpentry was actually in roofing when I was about 25 years old. But my father was a mason, and I labored for him when I was 21. I didn't really like that much, but my first business was actually painting.
Oh, wow.
Painting insides of houses and outsides of houses, and I liked that. And I slowly but surely incorporated woodworking into my projects. It was something I just got really passionate about it, and I started watching the New Yankee Workshop, Norm
yes.
Abram, and I learned a lot from that. And so it just sparked something in me that stayed with me ever since.
Very cool. Speaking of Norm, he is retiring. They're doing a special episode for him.
I know. It's sad. It's good and it's bad.
Yeah, but very cool. So
Yeah.
you have obviously, I can tell you've built a very successful business here. When you decided to do the drum making thing, was that you started out kind of as a hobby or part time?
Absolutely. I had a cabinet making business I had been running for 10 years. And after about an 8-year hiatus from actually playing drums myself, I started playing again in around 2002, 2003. About the time I was getting divorced, and that's probably why I'm divorced. But anyway, I digress. So, no, seriously, I started buying drums. I really wasn't happy with the quality of instruments out there. And so I found that I had a lot of ideas up in this noggin my whole life I didn't realize. And I said, well, you got a cabinet shop. Why don't you try to apply some of these ideas into the drums and see if they work? And so in 2005, I built my very first complete set, and I sold it. And I'm like, hey, I like this. I think I could do this. So I started incorporating my drum builds into, my side work with my cabinet business. And it worked really well. I didn't make my own shells at the time. I was buying components, learning how to do it, teaching myself, how do I cut a bearing edge? How do I wrap a drum? How do I finish a drum? How to do all these basic things, and trying to come up with new ideas in the same process. And the reason I wanted to do it is because I wanted to make smaller drums. My goal has always been to make drums that are versatile. In other words, I can have a small kit, but it doesn't necessarily have to sound like a small kit. So that was the whole premise behind that. And way back in 2005, and my girlfriend at the time, she actually filed the incorporation for the business and the trade name and all that. So Bucks County Drum Company was born way back then.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. I wanted to tell you, your logo, I really like it for some reason. I don't know, it really stands out to me. Is there a meaning behind that logo, or just something you kind of came up with?
It's gone through some changes over the years. The original logo was kind of like this, I don't know, serpent thing. It was kind of cool, and I developed that in the program on my own in my Microsoft program, my very first PC way back. And so I took all the elements, I designed it, and I was having the logo silk screened onto my bass drum heads. It was a really expensive process at the time. And then I had the badges made, and the one thing that people don't realize, the badge is one of the most expensive parts of the drum kit.
Really?
It's really difficult. I don't make them here now. I'm going to be getting a CNC, and I probably can make them at some point, but it's a very, very expensive process. And so trying to keep up with the times, I changed the logo back in 2011 or so, and we went to a star and a circle, and we changed it. We really liked it, and then we went to the 4-point star about 4 years ago, and just I don't know. As a company, you get stagnant, so you make little changes, something that might be a little bit more appealing. And to be honest with you, since I was subbing some of this work out, it had to be in a program that was also very repeatable, and one that people could do and manufacture without a lot of cost. We're trying to keep costs down, but also that they could do some of the designs I had that just couldn't do. So there's really no meaning. Some people like it because they say it reminds them of a Dutch hex sign.
I can see that.
Yeah.
But
I think I wanted something that was, I don't know, powerful. That just kind of made a statement and looked good.
Stands out.
Yeah,
Stood out to me.
And without trying to read too many other elements into it and try to tie it to this or tie it to that. You know what I mean? Just something that, hey, that's my logo.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So you're pretty much a one-man operation. You do have occasional helpers that come in, or
Yeah, I've had for a while there. I had some people in like 3 days a week, and with changes over the the world changes the past couple of years. It's kind of demanded that I cut back my assistance and my help, but I do have part timers come in and help me.
very good.
Yeah.
And I know you're in the process right now of transferring to a new shop. So
Yeah.
where do you see the shop evolving to some type of big showroom, practice room kind
Absolutely,
of thing?
that's the next step. I've outgrown this space. We've got the format of making the shells down. The shell making process is while we sped that process up a lot with the new molds, it still takes a certain amount of time, and it also takes up a lot of room. And so this new space will allow me to have much more streamlined manufacture because I have room for another set of molds, and it will improve that. It'll also allow to bring in people. Right now, the space being small, it's difficult to bring in help. So I can train people to make these shells. I can train people to do other aspects of the manufacturing that will help speed the process up, and I'll still be able to oversee and make sure that the quality is still there. It's really, really important. People. One thing that never leaves my mind is that people are spending their hard-earned money with me.
Yeah.
And they trust me to deliver. And I'm making an instrument that has to not only look good, but it has to perform. It has to sound good. So there are a lot of. It's not just like, a painting on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
It looks good. It has to perform and function, and so there's a lot of pressure I put on myself to make sure I meet those needs and make sure if it's not right, then it's not going out the door. And that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So even if it costs me money, it's going to be done right.
Very cool. Now, when you move into the bigger facility, do you plan on having some more full-time help, or are you going to stay with kind of?
I hope to find a full timer. I got a couple people that I think would be a good fit. It's just up to them whether they can make that happen or not. It's difficult to find, and this is, I'm not saying this in a bragging sense, but like to find people as good as me. I'd like to find somebody better than me. Somebody that can do what I do and more. Somebody that can kind of take the reins a little bit, and I can trust them to do what I do. And there will be a certain learning curve. Excuse me, obviously, but it's important because I'm getting older, and that's the whole sense of having this business is to have it go on, to have it keep going. And I'm not old, but if I could do this another 10 years, 15 years, that'd be great. But I feel it as a carpenter. I have my ailments, my aches and pains from my hard-working days, and they catch up to me. And so it's only a matter of time where I won't be able to do it. So
yeah, life does move fast if you're not paying attention. So what's cool about that is, I guess, if you could get somebody young in here, somebody that's willing to learn and has the ability. I mean, somebody can pick your brain, get a lot of knowledge. You have a lot of knowledge, and maybe that 10 years comes, you no longer want to do it. They can kind of take over for you, keep the name going.
Yeah, having somebody here on a regular basis is good because there are a lot of nuances, little things that you can't teach somebody. You just kind of have to pick up on and do it. I'm self-taught. Everything I've learned has been by trial and error, and spending money and spending the time, and making sure. I actually started with a completely different shell design, mold design, and reverse process that and turn it into what it is now. And I spent a good 2 years perfecting it before I actually started making drums with it. Started with a couple basic sizes, snare drum and 12-inch tom, just to try to make sure that this worked. And I wasn't going to start making full kits and investing in making the molds. I showed you the molds earlier, and I'll show them to you again. But it's an expensive process in making them, and they have to be done precisely.
Do you see the world of custom instruments is fairly small, and in order to succeed in that, you have to be good at what you do, and I guess marketing's a big part of it too. So the marketing side of it, what do you do specifically to help that?
Well, I used to advertise in magazines and whatnot, but I gotta tell you that most of my marketing is done through my website and with social media.
Yeah,
social media is really big. It's key. I think the important thing is that it makes it difficult, however, for the customer, because there are a lot of companies out there now, and you have a lot of musicians that say, "Hey, I'll build drums in my free time." and that's great, and a lot of them are really good at it. But it's important for people to work with a company that's going to have longevity, that can provide them with customer service, that if they have a problem or if they want to add on to their drum kit, that they can do that.
Sure.
And we can do that very easily. So we do sometimes when we're not building our brand, we also do, we recut edges for people, we rewrap drums, I don't advertise that, mostly because of the space issue, but down the road, with this new space, we'll be able to do that a little more, be able to accommodate that a little more, so yeah, it's a tough thing, you can spend money at it, you can market, and I do spend some money on it. I think it's probably the most important thing we can do. I spend a lot of my time, I'm here late at night doing demos.
Cool.
I invest a lot of time and money into doing demos and online content. I want people to see the drums, but I also want them to hear them. I want them to know that these things perform, and it is an instrument that you can create your own voice with. And I put these up against anything else out there.
Absolutely, I would concur with that. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned social media. I mean, social media is a powerful force, and
it's huge.
Like you said, that's helped you, build up.
Yeah.
And I mean, social media is always going to be around. I don't ever see that going away.
Yeah,
so
I don't think it's going anywhere.
For small business owners, that's a huge asset to have.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you see? So speaking of that, the climate we're in with the way the economy is. I don't want to get political here, but with the way things are going, how do you see that affecting your business specifically?
Well, like any business, you can have good times, you can have bad times, and I think the important thing right now is to ride this out. We're not going to do too much expanding, too much spending of money. We're going to ride this out. It's a difficult time for everybody. We're going to help people when we can. But my goal is to make Bucks County Drum Company the next great American drum company.
Awesome. I like that attitude.
Yeah.
Motivation.
Cool. That's where we're going to be.
Very cool. I like that.
Yeah.
And I have no doubt you will get there. So there is with custom drum making. Obviously, there's not a ton of companies out there, but there are quite a few. What do you think sets you apart from the rest?
My shell making. There are a lot of people making their own shells, so they say, but nobody does ply shells like we do. And I put these up against anything else out there. They sound, as a drummer myself, I'm very, very picky. And if these are not performing the way I need to perform, and I know they should perform, I'm not happy.
Cool.
I have been picky about my sound and tuning drums. When I was a kid, there was an issue of Modern Drummer that came out about the rims mounts, the suspension mount, back in the 70s or 80s. And I was the first kid in my neighborhood. I had an old set of Jet drums.
Oh, yeah.
They were really crappy, but they sounded good.
Mm-hmm.
They were like $450 for this whole set, right? And so I put rims mounts on these drums. My parents were like, what is this about? And I'm like, I gotta have these,
Yeah.
because I got the concept that when you pick the drum up and you hit it, and it sounded really great, and as soon as you put it on the mount, it went doink, and it sounded awful, right? Yeah. I'm like, this is not the way it should be. This should not be like that. So I understood, way back, the principle of trying to get a really good drum sound, and the difference not only that it made behind the kit, but out in front of the drum kit from the audience's perspective. And so, that's really, really important. And so I actually developed my own suspension mount that works very, very well. It attaches right to the shell. It's much more compact. I don't know if you can see it, but it's right over here.
Yep.
And so that is not only a really nice mounting system, but it's a suspension mount. It lets the drum open up. And so these are really, really important features. It separates, Bucks County Drum Company, again, as a credible company that I've been doing this a long time. I've been building drums since 2005, and I've been doing this full time now for 6 years. So, and I'm 34 years a woodworker. So, does it make a difference yet? And I care, and I think, that's the one thing that people really need to understand too.
Absolutely. Well, it seems like you realized what you truly wanted to do at a younger age. You didn't know it quite yet, but yeah.
Well, my life was full of, you don't wake up one day and go, I'm going to be a drum maker. I was actually a really decent drummer one time. I went to school for music. I was good at sports. I was good at a lot of different things. So as a typical kid, I had a hard time focusing on what I wanted to do. There was always a lot of changes that, going on in my life. And so, I did a lot of different things. I learned a lot of different things. And, I worked in music stores. I worked, selling stereo. I did all these different things, and I worked in the trades. And so, if I took everything that I've ever done and dumped it into a funnel and it came out drum maker, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
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 And I realized that each thing I did was a stepping stone. It was pointing me in a different direction. And was I meant to do this? I think so.
I think so. I can agree with you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Really, I mean, there isn't a day I wake up and I go, I really don't like this, or I can't do this today. I mean, I get excited to come to work every day. For as many years as I've been doing this, I look forward to it. Is it a passion? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, it's a business, and the customer always comes first.
Yeah.
And that is the one thing I learned, as a salesman, when I did musical instruments, when I worked in a music store, when I sold other things, you as a customer, when I buy coffee, and I love coffee, and I buy coffee that comes in and it's not right, it bothers me, and I want somebody to take care of that, right? I want to make sure that I follow up. The only time you can provide customer service for somebody is after the sale. It's really the only time you really can. If you buy a car and you have a problem with it, you go back to the dealer and they say, we can't help you. You're not going back there again, and you're not happy, right? And so somebody calls me, and not that it really happens, or if they want to make a change or want to try some different drum heads or whatever, I'll do whatever I can to make them happy. It's never usually a problem. It's usually about tuning. And if I had any advice for any drummer everywhere, I'd say learn how to tune drum.
Yeah.
Most drummers don't know how to. It really is a process. It's really, you have to listen, use your ears, take the time, and learn how to tune a drum.
Absolutely.
It's really, really important, because these drums will perform like no other drums when you get them dialed in. You spend a little time with any drum.
Yeah. Well, you're right. I mean, the world of drumming, it's, I myself, I'm not very good at the ear tuning. I use the gauges, but it takes some practice and some getting used to get that ear for it. And some people can do it like that, other people it takes a little
They do it all
longer.
the time. I do it all the time. My ears get burned out at the end of the day, and they're shot anyway from all my years of hard work. But, it's still, listen to it from the top, listen to it from the bottom, stand away from the drum, have somebody else hit the drum and stand across the room and listen to it. It's going to sound different over here than it is there.
Absolutely.
If there's a rattle, check the bottom head. Getting it stretched evenly, each head perfectly, is first and foremost. Then get them in tune with each other. It's a process, and it's really, really important.
Yeah, and they have those clinics for that kind of stuff. I know you had a clinic a few months ago at the winery, I believe it was.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to make it, I couldn't, but I thought that was really cool. I'm sure you'll have more in the future.
Oh yeah, we're going to be doing that again.
So, but yeah, a lot of those clinics, just little things like that, tuning and stuff like that, that most people won't think of. It's part of drumming, and it's going to make your drumming better. It's going to make you sound better, So.
Well, and that's just it. I mean, it goes back to when I would go see bands. I'd go see other drummers, and I'd be like, man, he's a really good drummer. And I was like, really? Sounds terrible. I'm like, well, what you're hearing is his drum's not tuned well, but he's a great drummer.
Yeah.
And then the opposite is true. We'd go see a drummer, and they'd be like, he's a great drummer. And I'm like, nah, he's okay, he's average. But his drums sound really good. He knows how to tune a drum.
Yeah.
And so you've got, if you can get a really good drummer with a really good tuned set, that's a win-win. And so no matter what the situation was or is, you want to make sure those drums are tuned right.
Cool. So sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was just going to say, and it makes the band sound better.
Absolutely. Yeah. Good thing there. I mean, that's something that's not talked about often. A lot of times in the magazines you'll see an article or something on the drum tuning, but like I said, I'm guilty of it myself. I never paid much attention to it, and I should. If I want to sound better, that's part of it. So, but cool. So now, do you find your customer basis, is it coming more from social media or just general phone calls, general inquiries, or word of mouth?
It's a mix.
Yeah.
It's from social media. It's from referrals, phone calls, website, Google. People Google all the time. Google tells me how many people Google me, how many look for directions, how many call me. It's a mix. I find more and more people are searching for Bucks County drums, so that's a good thing.
Cool, very good. Now, obviously, this takes up a lot of your time. Do you miss playing at the clubs and bars?
Not really.
Don't you?
No, I mean, I really actually like writing and recording more than I like playing out.
Okay.
It was fun for a while. If I wasn't working so much, maybe. but I'll probably never be the drummer I used to be for a lot of reasons. Right now I'm having a lot of issues, a lot of arthritis in my hand, keeps me from enjoying playing like I used to. I just don't have the time to sit down and practice like I need to. I can play, but I could play like 4 grooves anymore, and that's it. Play it enough to get the point across and not sound like a hack. But it's a lot of work playing out.
It is.
It depends on where you want to go with it. Like just playing in a bar or a club for the sake of playing, it's fun once in a while.
Yeah.
But if you do it every weekend, it can be a grind.
I can imagine. For the people watching who aren't musicians, playing in a band is a business, and there's so much that goes on behind it. The fun part is playing at the bar.
Exactly. That's fun. But, setting up the PA, getting the sounds, hauling the gear. If you have a gig and you're playing from like 9 to 12, you're probably there at 5 o'clock, and you're setting up the drums and you're getting a sound check. And then, so it's an 8-hour thing by the time you get home. And then at 2 o'clock in the morning or 1 o'clock in the morning, you're tearing everything down. We used to carry a big PA and hauling, and it was a lot of work.
Yeah.
And so doing that Friday and Saturday night every weekend got to be work, and you're not making money at it.
No.
At least we weren't. We were making maybe
Beer
$50,
money,
$80,
money.
$100, and that's going back 2007, 8, 9.
Yeah.
So it's a good time, but I like the music aspect. I miss that. I miss the songwriting. I have a couple friends that are really good songwriters. It'd be good to get with them and get some tracks down. That would be a lot more enjoyable. Getting the sounds. For me, it was about getting the sounds, and that led me to building drums, because like I can get these cool sounds. I can make them sound this. I can make it sound that, and I can make it fit the music. So that's what gets me going. Recording.
Very cool. Cool. Back to the playing live real quick. I used to love setting up, because you're excited for the show going on. Tearing down, I think that's the worst part.
Yeah.
To carry everything back out to the car at
Yeah.
1, 2 in the morning. That's just part of it. That's what we do.
And you get thirsty because I don't know about you, but I like bourbon. So I would have a bourbon or 12 while I was playing. You sweat it out by the end of the night. It's gone, but you get pretty worn out.
Cool.
So it's fun.
So if you don't mind, we'll take a little tour around the shop.
Sure.
Kind of give us a rundown of how you go about your construction process, and
Absolutely, yeah.
talk about your new custom lines you got going on.
Yeah.
And we'll do that. All right. Let's take a walk through Bucks County Drums and see how the magic happens.
This is one of our Relic Series kits. This is a series I'm really, really excited about. It gives an old world kind of vintage vibe, but in a contemporary format, contemporary shells. This finish is a distressed finish, ash exterior with mahogany popper shells, and it kind of gives that vintage sound. It's got that vibe. It's just thick and meaty sounding, really sweet sounding drums. But the hardware in particular has patina, and it's really, really exciting. For me, this is something I would want to play. And the shells are available in ash, oak, and mahogany. Behind it is a Victory Series snares, one of our metal snares. All our metal snares are part of the Victory Series, and they come in different shell formats of brass, and you can get them in copper and aluminum and steel. And the steel drums are available in different powder coating finishes. So this is one of our, I would say, upper semi-custom drum lines. Prime Series drums, like this kit over here, this is one of our professional grade set. These are great drums. They incorporate all the different species that we have available. You can check that out at buckscountydrumco.com. This kit's a 12, 16, 22 in birch shells and a mahogany snare. They're called Prime Series because we don't commingle species in the shells. If you order birch, you get 100% birch. If you order maple, you get 100% maple. If you order mahogany, you get 100% mahogany. That's why we call them the Prime Series. And we have another series called the Regal Series, and the Regal Series is comprised of 8 ply shell format, again of one species, but we have a lot more exotic veneers available. So you want brass hardware and exotic veneer. The sky's the limit with the Regal series. You can do pretty much whatever you want, and all those items are outlined on our website. I'm trying to do a balance between the custom and a product line. You know, I want people to have a custom-made product, a handmade product, which they get, but I wanted to make it a little more streamlined, and if you get on the website, it'll show you exactly what you can do. And if it doesn't, there's something on there that doesn't meet exactly what you want, give me a call, shoot me an email, and I can design something with you and do something totally custom. That's 99% of what we do anyway. But this is something that I'm excited about as more of a production, but still custom product, handmade product. These badges, by the way, were all made here. They're leather, and that's something new that we're incorporating on the Relic series, again, to give that old world feel and that old school feel. I want these drums to look like they just came out of an old warehouse from, you know, the 1940s or something like that, and I think we did a pretty good job hitting that. Welcome to the messy shop. This is where all the magic happens. We've been going gangbusters for a while, so it's a bit messy right now, so I apologize. What we're looking at here is one of our molds. This is where the shells are formed. I designed and built these molds myself. They're made to exact specifications, and they're very hard and rigid, and they're perfectly round. And basically the way this happens is we put our plies in here with the glue, and we clamp them up, and we let them sit for a period of hours, and we do this as many times as necessary to get as many plies that we have deemed for that drum. Right here we have 2 kits in progress. We have an order for one of our artists. This is an oak kit with an ash exterior. This is going to go through several more steps to get a very particular finish. This is the base coat, the base color. This is a Regal series kit made of walnut and poplar shells. There's 12, 14, 20. This is 4 coats of our special oil finish. This is going to go through a few more steps until it's done. But you can hear this shell. This resonates. This has tone. It projects. That means that this shell is participating in creating the sound of the drum. It's going to resonate and project the way it should. So in other words, the drum heads are not just doing the work. This is going to be a real special kit for here, I hope. And we'll get this done. And I'm really excited about it. Walnut is a really nice wood to work with. It has a different dark sound. Over here we have a Regal series kit. This is this is almost done. It's got a few more coats to go. These are birch and bubinga shells, and with a Corellian birch exterior and a birch, and it's going to get sanded and finished. It's a little dusty, but again, lots of warmth, lots of projection, low end. Really, really exciting. I haven't decided what color hardware. I'm thinking black, nickel, maybe brass. There's a couple of snares, a couple 10-ply snares. We have a mahogany and poplar combination. This is going to get the Relic hardware, so in other words, it's all going to be all distressed on there. And this snare actually goes with this kit, so I added this later, decided I would add a snare to go with that kit. This is 10-ply of walnut and poplar. So, over here, it's Messy's finishing area. We've got various kits in different stages. We've got an artist kit, which is a bob kit. This is going to get silver glitter on it. And in this room we have our saws and our machinery. Again, very messy. Our bearing edges get cut on these tables here. We have the outside cut, the inside cut, and then this is our hoop cutter. It cuts the radius on the hoops. And then we come over here, and once we cut the edges, we flatten them on a flattening station. And then we come back over and we recut them again and make sure the apex is consistent in width. And that's really, really important. If I didn't do that after I flattened them, they would all vary greatly, and that would affect the sound negatively. And so this is pretty much it. It's got more shells over here for another artist. These are all 100% cherry. These really resonate. You can hear the low end timbre of that. Cherry's a real special wood. It's got a really neat sound. It's actually pretty loud. It's really nice to work with, and it's also really pretty. These are going to get a lemon sparkle, believe it or not. They're going to be gorgeous. We got a stack full of plies here that can be made into veneers that will be made into shelves. And that's pretty much it. Anything else you want to know about?
No, I think we that's pretty cool. We got a good tour, got good background on what you do here, and again, greatly appreciate
No problem.
you letting us in here and taking up some of your time today. I know you're busy. You got a busy schedule, so.
Nah, it's all part of it, all mine.
Well, thanks again, Chris. We greatly appreciate it.